let's get down to it. Game week 6, and let's start the early game on Saturday, the Merseyside derby. Why not bring it up already? A little bit of intrigue in this game for me is Everton played Leeds to a plucky. I wrote down that word for whatever reason. It was a plucky 1-1 draw. It really could have gone either way, in fairness, and another Anthony Gordon goal as well, as he's looking the real deal. Everton host Liverpool aside. Obviously, that 98th minute winner by Carvalho gave them a 2-1 win over Newcastle. They came from a goal down as Alexander Isak opened up his Premier League account on his debut. And more importantly for Liverpool, they held Newcastle to just a 0.62 expected goals for the game. So that was a positive number for a team that has had some question marks defensively. For Everton, Townsend, Godfrey, Mina, Calvert-Lewin, Decore, and Holgate are all still out, although Everton haven't lost in their last 4 games, and then both teams have scored in 4 of the last 5 games that the other team has played. For Liverpool, Thiago, the Ox, Kenyatte, and Keita all remain out. Diego Jota is on the road to return. He is questionable, could be able to play a role this weekend. And Darwin Nunez returns. Remember him. As long as he doesn't headbutt anyone, it'll be great to see him stay on the field. They've gone over the goal total in games they've played, 2.5 goals, 6 out of 7 times, have been the first to concede. That is the story here. And first half loser in 5 of their last 6 games, and both teams have scored just like Everton in 4 of their last 5. Liverpool won both times that these two teams played last weekend, but Everton didn't lose a game to Liverpool in the 3 games before that. So what do you make of this? Everton 17th place. Liverpool look like they're showing signs of looking like the Liverpool that we expected, sitting 5th place in the table. What do you make of this Merseyside derby coming, on short rest at a really interesting time for both sides?
Yeah, I think Liverpool will win the game. I don't think they're worth the bet at the line. Was it minus 243 for a Liverpool win? I think that's a bit too short for me, given what we've seen from Liverpool. The question marks we have around them defensively. At the same token, I don't think there's any value in backing Everton either, because they've got major question marks about them defensively, and just in general on a player-to-player basis, they're nowhere near the level of Liverpool. So. I was drawn straight to the both teams to score market. You mentioned the trends there. For both teams, 4 out of 5 Premier League games this season, this has landed. We're getting minus 113. And the big clincher for me is the fact that, I think opening few podcasts, I was talking about Everton, and particularly at home, they've been really, really low scoring. But what we've seen at the start of this season anyway is an upturn in their attacking process, which comes as a bit of a surprise, given they've not played as an out-and-out number 9. They've played more of a fluid front 3, haven't they, with Gordon and McNeil and Damari Gray. But they are actually creating chances at a better rate than what they did last season under Lampard. So last season it was 1.08 expected goals for per game under Lampard. This season they're at 1.44. So we're seeing an increase of around, just shy of 0.4 expected goals, which, in rough terms equates to around 1 non-penalty big chance per game that they're creating more than they were last season, which has to be seen as a positive as they welcome a Liverpool backline that has looked leaky. You mentioned there the expected goal total against Newcastle was low, but they conceded a big chance, which is something that they've been doing regularly. And it only needs 1 big chance to be conceded for the teams to score ultimately, because they're big chances for a reason. They've got a higher probability of being scored than pot shots from range. If Everton continue to do what they're doing in attack, I think they'll cause a couple of issues for Liverpool. On the flip side, obviously Everton's defence, even though they brought in quite a few new bodies, has looked shaky, full stop. 1.85 expected goals against per game through their opening 5 matches. And we know what Liverpool are capable of going forward. The addition of Nunez, whether he starts or not, I don't think he will, because Firmino's been playing great. And you can't really drop Salah. Diaz, I don't know. I don't think he'll rotate him either, because he's been looking really sharp. But he's one to watch off the bench for sure. If he comes on and the game's level, I would be looking at backing him to score, just because he's had 106 minutes of Premier League football so far this season. That's it, and he's already racked up 2.3 expected goals, which is just a ridiculous amount. And it just shows that when he's on the pitch, he has a real nose for getting in the right positions to get on the end of good scoring chances. So. If he starts, then I would be looking at him scoring. If he comes off the bench, you'll probably get a bigger price, and I still would be taking that. And if he can keep his head, which, this is a Merseyside derby. It's going to be feisty. Everton players are going to have seen what he did against Crystal Palace, where all you had to do was just kick him a few times and he'd flip off the handle. Yeah, if he can keep his head, I think he could have a say in what happens in this match.
Also, something to keep in mind: Liverpool starts Champions League next week as well, and I think that the fact that this is the early game on Saturday means that Nunez will probably start. Klopp needs to get him back in the side. You can save Firmino for midweek in the Champions League. It's one of those trends: Liverpool conceding first, conceding early goals, losing first halves. I just don't think that that's something that's going to continue. I think that will be a focal point for Jurgen Klopp in the build up to this match. He's aware of the numbers. He's aware of the statistics. He's aware of the talking points here. My play is Liverpool to win the first half, -105. It's very simple to the point. Just call this a little bit of a market correction game. I'm not sure if they'll be able to hold on. Like I said, Everton, I give them credit. Like, they're showing up now against Leeds United. That game could have gone either way. The XG was very similar both ways. This is just about Liverpool going on, scoring first and winning the first half. I think it'll be tighter than advertised. I'm not willing to touch the spread at Everton plus 1.25. Liverpool's defensive play, overall play, hasn't been that convincing. They desperately need something more in the midfield, even though Harvey Elliott is, he's a great story for one, and he's played pretty well for two, but just the makeup, there's something missing in terms of the midfield balance right now. And so, yeah, I'm going to go with the first half win for Liverpool at -105. So anything else to add for this game?
No, I think that's a fair shout. I mean, the other thing that will probably support your angle there is that Liverpool, they scored so late against Newcastle that they'll still be buoyed by that. That's the last thing that they'll think about, or the first thing that they'll have in their minds when they turn up at Everton is that they'll still be really buoyed and jubilant about the fact that they scored so late and finished on such a high in that game. So, yeah, they'll definitely take that into this game. And I want to see more of Fabio Carvalho. I think every time I've seen him, he's made cameo appearances in most Premier League matches. He's flashed for me off the pitch, and I think he's a real diamond. I think he could be a really, really big player for Liverpool this season.